Welcome to Ludlow Taylor. We're really proud of this campus here and happy to share it with our community members. We're particularly thrilled to welcome Mayor Bowser and Chancellor Farabee. Not only is today special for our DC residents and the announcements that are about to be coming, but also tonight as we cheer on our Nationals in Game 7. There we go. When I think of this community in particular, there are two things that really stand out and why I feel so lucky to be a part of it. First is the diversity that this school represents. It is literally every walk of life in Washington, D.C., and we are so proud to support every student and family that comes into the building. The second part about Ludlow Taylor that really stands out is we just have an incredible group of veteran teachers. Every year we've been about 95% teacher retention, and of all the data we look at is something I continue to be incredibly proud of. Today, I want to introduce two of those very, very, very special teachers. First is, I think they're hiding around the corner on me, is Miss Johnson, our incredible early childhood teacher and early childhood lead, who has been with Ludlow Taylor for 11 years. And second is Mr. JP, our incredible art teacher, who has been with Ludlow Taylor for 7 years. And I'm going to invite them up to introduce the mayor and the chancellor. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Principal Smith, Dr. Farabee, and Mayor Bowser. As he stated, my name is Marquita Johnson. I have had the honor of being a DCPS educator for 15 years, and I have shared my time here with Ludlow Taylor community for 11 of those years. As a mother of two boys and an excited future homeowner, I am extremely interested in learning about the new program Landed and all that it has to offer the district employees.
Say. Thank you, Marquita. First of all, I want to thank Assistant Principal Addison and Principal Smith. You guys are excellent. Our class found out you were coming, and we created a work of art. It says, home is where the champs live. All right. So here at Ludlow Taylor, we stress pride, and pride is politeness, respect, integrity, determination, and empathy. And we have pride here at Ludlow Taylor, but I also have pride in my community living in Washington, D.C. and being a new homeowner. I live next to Bard High School in Southeast D.C., and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the EHAP program, which is the Employee Assisted Housing Program, but I also got the loan. So if you have money saved up, you also can get extra money for that, and I'm appreciative for that. People like the Greater Washington Urban League walked me through it, and community-based organizations such as Universal Legal Services, and my great realtor, Bobby Cato, of course. But I love being here. I love having pride in this city, and I think this is the city of Howard, city of the Caps, the Nash, the Mystics, and the new champions, the Nationals tonight. Thank you very much.
Without further ado, we'd like to introduce Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Ludlow Taylor, and I want to thank Principal Smith, the wonderful educators here at Ludlow Taylor, two of your colleagues you just heard from, and of course, the children here at Ludlow Taylor. I am very excited to be joined by members of my public education team, Dr. Louis Farabee, who is the Chancellor of DC Public Schools. Give Dr. Farabee a big round of applause. Hansul Kang, who is the superintendent of the office of the State Office of Education. Deputy Mayor Paul Kine, who is the Deputy Mayor for Public Education for the District of Columbia. And we're also joined by members of my housing team, including Todd Lee from the Housing Finance Agency and John Felchicchio from the Deputy Mayor's Office. Give them a big round of applause. I never lose my voice, and I have lost my voice because my team is in the World Series. Our team is in the World Series, and they have proved to be resilient, and they have proved to work together as a team. And that is what we know has been the the success of our DC public schools. The superintendent will go into more detail, but part of our announcements today include sharing the district's results on the National Assessment of Education Progress. And Hansel will tell you exactly how long we've been participating and what it means to be one of only 2 jurisdictions that have seen incredible, unprecedented increases in their NAEP results. And it is a testament to what our students and our staff and our educators and our central office and our leadership have been doing in Washington, D.C. for public education. D.C. continues to be the fastest improving state in the nation, and DCPS is the fastest improving urban school district in the nation. And so we know exactly how we got there, and that's investing in our educators and making our schools a top priority citywide. So today we, of course, are celebrating our NAEP successes, but we are also talking about programs we are putting in place to make sure we can continue to attract and retain the best of the best. Now, I was sitting next to the chancellor. I know it was music to his ears when he heard that we had a 15-year educator here that's been at Ludlow Taylor for 11 years. Part of what we like to tout and what parents like to hear is when school communities can attract teachers year over year. It says something about the leadership here, and it says something about educators' ability to do their jobs and to be allowed to do their jobs and be supported in doing their jobs. But we know teachers are people too. And one thing I know about people, they like to eat and they like to have a roof over their head. Strange thing, right? And we know in a city as growing as fast as ours is that we have to do everything in our power to make DC more affordable. Last year, you will remember, we tried to create a new program that is focused on workforce housing. And what I mean by workforce housing is it's for people who have good jobs and have good paying jobs, but still in order to live in our city, they need to find housing that may be below the market value. And the city needs to play a part in creating those opportunities for our workforce, our teachers, our firefighters, our police, our DC government employees. So when I go out talking next year about workforce housing, and I try to get the council to fund a $20 million program so we can create those units. Workforce housing is you. And it's the 37,000 people that work for the District of Columbia. So let's remember that the city has to play a part in keeping people of all incomes in our city, including people that have good paying jobs like we do at DCPS, but also need supportive programs like the ones that we're talking about. So while it didn't get funded last year, we will keep looking for ways to keep DC affordable for workers and families all across the income spectrum. The vibrancy of our city and community depends on it, and the quality of our classrooms depend on it. So I want to thank our friends at Landed, and you're about to hear all about a new program, a new tool for home ownership, in addition to what we offer with HPAP and EHAP and our new program with Eagle Bank. We want you to know about Landed and how Landed can help you become a homeowner in Washington, D.C. So with that, I am going to invite Alex Lofton to come talk about Landed, followed by Chancellor Farabee and Superintendent King, and then they'll take your questions. Great. Come on, Alex.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, for having us. Chancellor, thank you for being here. And Principal Smith, thank you for having us as well. Landed is on a mission to help essential professionals build financial security closer to where they serve. So we offer home buying services to help teachers and other people who work at schools navigate the home buying process. But one of the core things we offer is a shared appreciation down payment support program. And since our founding in 2015, we've helped about 250 home buyers in places like California, Colorado, Washington State, put down roots in their community and commit to the classrooms that they serve. And we're thrilled to be bringing Landed here to the East Coast with our first launch here in D.C. So we're really excited to be here. First, I'd like to share a little bit more about my personal story. My mom was a fourth grade school teacher and dad was a social worker. And I grew up outside Seattle in a pretty expensive place. I won the lottery, had a lot of love and support in the household, but money was always tight. And it wasn't until my grandmother passed away and passed along her home did we get to experience home ownership as a first example of intergenerational wealth being transferred. And that changed the trajectory for my family. Sent me to the college I went to. My brother got to go to college as well. So it really was a big game changer for us. But the reality is that too many families have to rely on something like intergenerational wealth being transferred to own a home, and a lot of folks don't have that option. And so Landed tries to be an alternative to that, bank of mom and dad that a lot of people have to rely on to access home ownership. A lot of folks, including those who work at DCPS, may make enough to afford rent on a month-to-month basis, but also doing that plus saving for a down payment to get to 20% down payment that a lot of folks need to get to buy a home is just too challenging. So that's the problem that Landed is trying to solve, helping people get to a 20% down payment, get to where they need to get to so they can purchase a home. We to give a few more details about our program, one of the things that we offer is up to $120,000 will match for a down payment. So if a home buyer can save some of their portion of the down payment, we can bring some of the other portion of the down payment so they can access that 20% and get into a home. We're really excited and proud to be joining and partnering with Eagle Bank, who we have some representatives here in the crowd. Thank you guys for coming to offer this down payment support. Helping great educators become homeowners keeps them in their classroom and committed to their communities. We're looking forward to connecting directly with educators and their families across D.C. We're actually offering a series of information sessions throughout November, throughout all of D.C. and some key high schools. So any DCPS employee or employee of a charter school is welcome to join that. So with that, I'm happy to take some questions after we hear from some other speakers, and then I'll be here afterward as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you again, Alex. So in case you missed it earlier, I'll repeat it. The District of Columbia Public Schools is the fastest improving urban public school district in the nation. And as I share that, I'll share with you what I often say to our staff, is that excellence is not achieved by chance or circumstance. It's intentional and it's strategic. And as I think about our investments and the root of our accomplishments, it's our strategic investment in our educators. And so thank you, Alex and the team, for allowing us to have another tool in the toolbox. Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your laser-like focus, ensuring that our educators have more options for home ownership. As we think about where our students excel and accomplish the most, it's through the relationships they have with their educators. It is educators knowing their backgrounds and having the local context for the communities they serve. What better way to have that local context to actually live in the community we serve? And so really pleased that more of our educators have the ability to live where they work and have an understanding of our student that impacts the classroom and provides context for how teachers think, how they plan and prepare to deliver instruction in the classroom. And what we're seeing is that more teachers in D.C. public schools are choosing to come back. In fact, of our teachers that are rated effective and highly effective, over 90% of them continue to come back and serve our students and our families. And so we're really pleased that we have the opportunity to have the best-in-class educators in our classroom. As a result, D.C. Public Schools continues to see strong results on their National Assessment for Education Progress. And in fact, over 10 years, we've seen double-digit gains in math and reading, in fourth grade and eighth grade where students are assessed. More specifically, this past year, if you think about what's happened over the last 10 years, D.C. public schools is the first among urban school districts in 3 out of 4 areas. So you think about math and reading in grades 4 and grades 8, we're leading the way. And in one area that we're not first, we're second, but we will be first. And we know we have a lot more work to do. And so we're really pleased that we have the ability to bring exceptional educators not only to our district, but keep them here. And you heard from educators that have been with us for years that they want to live in the communities that they work in. So we're excited about where we are. We may run a victory lap today, might even run a victory lap tonight, and World Series Game 7. But we know that our work must continue, and our work will continue with the great educators we have, the staff and the administration that are supporting them and giving them the ability to live where they work. I'm pleased to introduce Superintendent King, who will provide more context on the results for the entire state and share more with you about the accomplishments as relates to NAEP results. Superintendent King.
Thank you, Chancellor. As Mayor Bowser announced earlier, we are so excited to share that the District of Columbia continues to be the fastest improving state in the nation on the National Assessment of Educational Progress, also known as the nation's report card. Our students took the NAEP assessment earlier this year. NAEP tests proficiency in 4th and 8th grade reading and math every 2 years, and it provides a truly apples-to-apples comparison of student results across all 50 states and D.C., and provides the clearest picture of how student learning is changing and evolving over time. The progress that our students in D.C. have made in both scale and sustainability over time is unprecedented. While the nation overall has slipped behind or stayed flat, D.C.'s students have continued to improve, closing gaps between student groups in D.C. and with their peers nationally. Over a decade ago, D.C. was far behind the rest of the country in education. We were 51st by so far that the next state was barely in shouting distance. And yet, because of the gains that we have made, we are now ahead of 5 states in 4th grade reading and ahead of 6 states and tied with a 7th in 4th grade math. Yes, that's worth an applause. D.C. was the only state in the country to make gains over the last 2 years in 8th grade reading at a time when 31 other states saw declines. We are leading the nation in so many ways. These results show me that the bold policy decisions and the significant investments that the city has made over the past decade were the right ones for our students. While other states have abandoned policies intended to improve the quality of education, the District of Columbia has stayed the course or doubled down, and we are seeing the result in our continued progress. We are showing the nation what happens when you set expectations and stay the course. For our students, led and supported by talented and skilled educators, they can rise to the challenge when we do that. I want to thank our students, our educators, many of whom are in the room today, our leaders, for everything they are doing every day to make D.C. the fastest improving state and urban school district in the country. I want to thank Mayor Bowser for her continued leadership and focus on this critical issue. And I want to thank the D.C. community as a whole. This is a community and a city that has prioritized education and has a collective belief in the potential of our students. It's only because of that collective belief that we've been able to make these gains in a way that is so different from what the rest of the country is seeing. We have more work ahead of us to ensure that all students, regardless of background or zip code, have access to a quality education that prepares them for college and careers. But we can face the work ahead with confidence and optimism because of the results we've been able to achieve already. Let's continue to show the nation what is possible. Thank you.
Let's give Superintendent King a big round of applause. Thank you for the fabulous work that you have done for our children. I was proud to recruit Hansel from Tennessee to come to Washington, D.C. and lead our OSCE. So with that, I'll take a few questions on topic. Yes?
So speaking about the Home Assistance Program with Landed, obviously you mentioned D.C. already has EHAP and HPAP. Do you think the fact that you're entering this partnership speaks to the fact that maybe those programs could be expanded? I mean, there could be more money given to employees and also just D.C. residents who want to buy their first homes. Any thoughts on that?
Well, first, let me start by answering your question. We know that we need to do more for workforce housing across the district, Martin, because we have a lot of people. I have 37,000 people that work for D.C. government. Just under half are D.C. residents. So for us, as has already been stated by Alex and the Chancellor, we love people to live closer to their work than the people that they serve, so that they have a better contacts for the work that they do. We want them to live closer to work for themselves too, because we don't want them to have to spend so many minutes and hours of their lives in a car, and that takes time away from their own families and takes time away from the many cases extra time that they want to spend at school. So being closer to work is good for the district, and it's good for them. It's good for the environment. It's good for a whole host of reasons. And that's why we introduced the Workforce Housing Fund, the $20 million fund that would operate in a similar way to HPTF, so that we could buy down more units for currently programs that a lot of our employees don't qualify for because they make too much money for those programs, but they don't make enough money for the type of housing that they need for their family. So that's why it continues to be important for us to work on workforce housing programs. This is a long answer, I know, but last year we introduced another program for DC government employees with Eagle Bank. They developed a product for DC government, and if our employees go there, they will get better terms on a mortgage loan if they qualify. So that's important too. And similarly, the Landed program focuses on something that a lot of folks face, is that they make good money. They're probably paying a lot of rent already, or they're paying a mortgage. So I know that they can pay a mortgage here, but they haven't been able to save the 20% that is needed oftentimes to buy a new home. So additional down payment assistance will be entirely helpful to get more DC government workers living in DC. Any other questions? Yes.
What is the city government's role in this Landed partnership? Do you guys have a financial role in it?
You want to talk a little bit more, Alex, about Landed?
Absolutely. So short answer is no. DC government has no financial participation. Really, we're just trying to get the word out. The programs like this are only as good as people know about them. So being able to make sure folks know about it is important. Our goal is we're starting with educators. And as I said, our mission is to help essential professionals. So this is very on point. Our nurses, our firefighters, our city government professionals, our police folks. These are all people we need to stick around in our cities. So we'll be expanding to help more folks in the near term.
This was a good partnership, that Landed was the right fit for DC. I know you've worked in other cities.
Deputy Mayor Fauchicchio to come up.
So since last year, since the budget season, when we had the mayor put forth the $20 million fund for workforce housing, we've been looking at different tools to incentivize home ownership among DC government employees. So we worked with Eagle Bank to provide that special rate. We've also been working with the Housing Finance Agency on home ownership opportunities as well. So this was just another one that we'll add, and I know we're working with the Deputy Mayor for Education on even further workforce and teacher housing products and opportunities. So we want to really kind of run the spectrum of opportunities so that people can come to us and there is a tool in the toolkit for them.
Actually, just another one for Alex quickly. So I know how the program works, at least the way I understand it, is that you guys give a teacher some of the money towards a down payment. If they eventually sell 5 years down the line and their home is appreciated, you take 25% of the appreciation. And also, if the home loses value, you kind of eat that too. But is there anything written into a contract, written into your terms, that if the market takes a big dive and home values really crash, that that the teacher is going to be left on the hook for more? Like, is there any catch here that we're talking about?
No, I mean, the whole philosophy here is that we believe that there should be more sharing of the risk that's involved with assets that are so expensive. Homes are really, really, really large assets. They used in the past weren't as big, and now that they are so big, you really need to share in risk. The reality is if you're just the only debtor on the mortgage, you're assuming all that risk. And so with Landed, you're actually sharing that risk fully. And there's a chance that if a down market as bad as you're describing happens and a home buyer needs to sell, Landed partnership could be basically wiped out. And we think that's fair because we also have the opportunity to share in the appreciation if things go well. So really, if you're going to be a partner, which we consider ourselves to be, you got to take both the upside and the potential downside.
And is the teacher the sole homeowner of the home, or do you guys have a lien on the house? Or do you co-own the house? I mean,
great question. So Landed is a second on the mortgage, so it's a shared equity investment. It's not a debt product, and so you don't owe any sort of specific interest rate or a certain amount of money per month, anything like that. It's shared equity. So there is the right for the shared investor to participate in some of the shared appreciation. But again, if you end up having to sell in a down market, we'll take that loss.
Off topic?
Yes, off topic.
Mayor Bowser, it's not a home game tonight, but there will be a lot of people watching Nats Park and other places, obviously. Can you tell us what you have in place as far as intersection control, crowd control, should there be a victory and fans take to the streets in celebration tonight?
Sure. So last week we talked some about our preparations for all 7 games, including the watch parties that were hosted down at the Yards Park and for the home games. And I think we're going to see a similar setup to our All-Star game setup with traffic control.
So are there more officers and TCOs and whatnot stationed out tonight for this?
There will be more than a typical home game. Yes.
Is MPD prepared in case fans get maybe a touch too rowdy and kind of, you're not going to grease light poles like they did in Philadelphia or anything to stop people from coming?
Thank you. Well, to be fair, the chief has been very focused on that, and we have reminded people throughout, especially when the Nats were playing at home, to avoid coming down to Nats Park in a vehicle, to use the metro, to arrive early so everybody's not kind of pushing out at the same time, to drink responsibly, to not drink and drive, and we have seen throughout the Nats and Nats fans have been a class act. But certainly everybody is expected to follow the law, and that's all the laws.
Where will you be watching tonight?
I haven't decided yet. I'm working on that. Yes, ma'am.
My question is for Superintendent King. Sure. With the increase in, and I'm really excited about the nation's report card, how is this going to affect our specialized programs, programming for high schools?
Thank you, and I can answer a little bit, and then maybe Chancellor Farabee wants to speak up as well. So NAEP is given, as I said, in just 4th and 8th grade, so it's just a snapshot of our students' progress in those 2 critical grades. But as I mentioned, in 8th grade reading, we are a particular outlier, a positive outlier for the country, in that we're the only state that saw significant gains at a point in time when 31 states saw a decline. And so there's a national conversation happening about how we can ensure our students know how to read, and people are looking to DC for those answers. We are excited that our students are entering high school more prepared, as shown on this independent assessment, as well as on our state assessments. But I'll let the Chancellor speak to specific high school programming.
Thank you. Great question. So the positive in the data results is that our 8th graders, we know, are going to 9th grade better prepared with the prerequisite skills to be successful in high school. To be responsive, we want to ensure that our high schools continue to advance in our college and career readiness curriculum and opportunities for students to be credentialed in high school, to want to go directly into the workforce out of graduation, or they are taking rigorous courses towards college admission, and they're able to not only be admitted, to be successful in their higher ed experience as well. So this is an opportunity for us to actually offer more options, and we're pleased. For example, this school year, a great example would be we've doubled the number of students that have the opportunity to participate in our NAF academies, which are career-based curriculum where students have the ability to earn industry credentials and also have internships and apprenticeships towards career interests that they have. So we will continue the work that we've done with our specialized programs. And in fact, we recently launched policy that would advance equity and access to our selective high schools, which we're really thrilled about. So we again are really pleased where we are and looking forward to advancing high school.
Yes, Mark.
And then last one off topic, this is for one of my colleagues. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about affordability in the district. You introduced this, the free circulator that ran for about 7 months. There's also Kids Ride Free for the buses in the metro system. Have you guys given any thought to expanding that idea of offering financial assistance for transportation for folks who may not make a lot of money or may be suffering because it's expensive for them?
We will be considering all kinds of programs in the approach to my budget, but we don't have a particular plan to make transit free for everybody. And I think I've been involved with Kids Ride Free since its inception, and I know how important it is. Imagine this, not too long ago, families had to pay $30 per month per child to get their kid to school if the kid didn't live in their neighborhood. And when I really talked to a lot of people all over the city about that, that's why I created Kids Ride Free and expanded it to Metro Rail when I became mayor. We have had other programs. One was introduced, I think, for adult learners. We haven't had as much uptake on that program, so we'll be looking for ways to make that program more effective as well. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ludlow Taylor.